Hello, hello. It is the one and only 5D Transformations. And today we're going to touch on the INTJs and the compatibility. Who is the best for INTJs when it comes to relationship compatibility? Now, all the types are compatible with one another to some capacity. And I've seen, you're going to see pairings of every type in the world. Everyone's dating everybody. But this is a way for you to see, what are some types that may be compatible with you if you're an INTJ and how come? And I'm going to explain the reason why I make these choices. So we're going to start with the first choice, which are ENFPs. Now, I have a video for ENFPs and I explain a lot on why the INTJs are compatible with them, but I'm going to be a little quicker on this one. Reference the ENFP video if you like. But the main thing here is first and foremost, they're extroverted, the ENFP, and the INTJ is introverted. That is a good pairing in general. As I always say, it's not one of those things that one fits all. But what's good is the extrovert has a lot of information to share, or they like to be around people, they like to communicate. And that can really help the INTJ because it takes the load off of the INTJ. And they can kind of sit back and let the ENFP do their thing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the ENFP likes the INTJ because INTJs are receptive. They like to hear information, process it, and provide information back. And so it provides a dynamic where two people aren't fighting all the time for communication space. It gives it a nice dynamic. Second thing, they share their communication function right here. And what's beautiful about it is the ENFP has introverted feeling second and extroverted thinking third, and the INTJ has extroverted thinking second and introverted feeling third. So what you'll find is the INTJ helps the ENFP with their extroverted thinking, and the ENFP helps the INTJ tap more into their introverted feeling. And also it's a similar communication style, so they can meet in the middle. They speak that same language. They think and feel very similarly, even though it's different. The INTJ is a little bit more of a thinker, quote unquote, generally speaking. The ENFP is more of a feeler, but they can help each other and meet in the middle. And what you'll find is ENFPs it's still their third function. They can use extroverted thinking very well because generally your third function is a function that's still pretty strong in terms of how well you use it and how often you use it. And same thing with INTJs. They feel very deeply. It's just that extroverted thinking is normally taking charge. So what the ENFP will find is they can see that introverted feeling in the INTJ and they know how to communicate with it. They're not caught up from the facade that INTJs are just robots and emotionalists because they think, how can they be when they have introverted thinking third? It's impossible. Introverted feeling is such a strong feeling function, and ENFPs are very familiar with that. So they know how to get to the heartstrings of INTJs. Third thing, though, that makes it so unique and that adds that attraction element to it is that polarity, that difference. And that's that ENFPs have extroverted intuition and introverted sensing, but INTJs have introverted intuition and extroverted sensing. So the ENFP, INTJs in relationships, a lot of the time they can find themselves moving very quick past their partner, thinking of the next best thing, you know, always wanting to improve. And a lot of the time it's hard to keep their attention, to keep them focused because they don't, they're always moving forward. But ENFPs, they're so big picture. They can see the big picture. So INTJs are constantly learning more and more perspectives from ENFPs. But ENFPs, what they love about INTJs, or what can be annoying at times, but is good for personal development and growth, is INTJs help ENFPs pull it back a bit and say, hey, let's focus on the present, which is that extroverted sensing, and let's focus on what you got to do next, like tomorrow, like what do you got to do next today or tomorrow so that you can get to this long-term extroverted intuition goal. And so they can really help each other in that regard. And also ENFPs have that introverted sensing. So for INTJs, they're always so present and forward moving, they hate to have to go back. Introverted sensing is actually the very last function for an INTJ. So ENFPs force them to have to, go back and, evaluate things that they've done so that, and what it does in the long term is it makes their decision making even better so that they can make the next best step. ENFPs a lot of the time won't let them just move past things and don't think twice about it. It's like, no, you got to remember what happened, because by knowing that, it's going to help you understand where you're going in the long term, not just the short term. And the same thing can be said for INTJs. ENFPs, their lowest function is extroverted sensing. So they have a hard time being present a lot of the time. So that INTJ can really help them with being present, being focused on making the next step decisions so that they can get to where they want to go, but also just helping them enjoy life. Sitting back, watching a movie, watching a show, like doing things in the sensory. That's important because ENFPs can be so mental, they can lack that time to be physical and present and just in the environment, instead of going from one idea to the next. So that's why those two go very well together. Now we're going to talk about the second best type for the INTJ. And the second best type for the INTJ is going to be your ENFJ. And why do I say that? Well, I think ENFJs provide something unique for INTJs, which is you can see the INTJ here. They have NI and they have SE. Well, the ENFJ, where you guys at? They have NI second, SE third. So what you'll find is the ENFJ will love how the INTJ has such strong NI and always forward moving, and they both get along with that. They both understand that language, and they both also have extroverted sensing. So the ENFJ can help the INTJ get more into their senses and doing stuff, trying different things, going out, seeing different things. They both really enjoy that. So that's where they really can enjoy one another, being able to talk about different ideas with that introverted intuition. They're able to stimulate each other's introverted intuition, and they're able to also stimulate each other's extroverted sensing. But what's also unique is they speak a different language. Okay. So that's where you'll find they have a different communication function, which can uh, allow both to have growth with one another. The ENFJ can learn to more so factor in the overall objective truth instead of just going with the moment to moment logic. And then the ENFJ can help the INTJ be more social. The INTJ can learn a lot from ENFJs about how to move in the environment, and it can be very productive for them. And then also they have the extroverted introverted thing going on once again, which tends to work very well. So that's the second type. And then the third set of types that I think can work. Number one is I think an ENTJ with an INTJ because they have all the same functions. If you see the ENTJ right next to them, they both got TE, both have NI, they both have SE, FI. So obviously they speak a very similar language, but they also have that extroversion, introverted thing going on. You'll also find INTJs will obviously do well with each other, the similar type, because they understand each other's language. They both are very laid back. They can really enjoy time with one another or spend time amongst themselves in isolation. So they understand each other's language. They understand when each other need space, but also when they both want to stimulate that extroverted sensor, they can do things together. So that's always a good thing too. You got ESTJs, which is unique because what they share with ESTJs, the INTJ is that TEFI. And if you look at the ESTJ, they have TEFI. So this is a path if INTJs want to become more logical and they really value that extroverted thinking and value being productive. That can be they can learn a lot from ESTJs. And then they also have different perception functions. So the ESTJ will really help the INTJ with that last function of introverted sensing. And then at the same time, the INTJ will help the ESTJ with moving forward, not always having to go back to the past. So they can learn a lot from each other. This pairing can work really well as friends or in a boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic or a long-term relationship, as long as they're able to compromise with one another. But they can really help each other learn a lot. And then finally, I'd say ISTJs because they have that TEFI in the exact same spot. So they really speak a very similar language, but then they can still learn. They're both introverts, but they can learn from one another. INTJs always want to move forward. ISTJs are kind of going back a lot more. So they can help each other find a balance to where, they're making the best decisions. And you kind of have the best of both worlds. It's like you have one partner that knows what's the next best thing to do. Then you have another partner that knows what's the safest thing to do. And when you combine safety with strategy, you get a good balance. So these two can work very well also. So INTJs, those are the types that are compatible. I'm going to jump into the next group. So make sure to check out the next video. And we're about to talk about the INFPs. I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, the MBTI course is out. I have an MBTI course. I probably, who knows, I might add this information to the course because the course really touches on all the types. It touches on their superpower, their functions, how to get out of the grip, which is when they're dealing with stress, how do they act when they're under stress, and then also how to access your secret power and understand what your secret power is. So, and we also delve into all the types. So you actually get to learn that. You get to learn the science of how I'm able to understand the types and how I'm able to type people in real time. That's one of my best gifts. I have a lot of clients because there's times where I've typed a whole family and I explain it to them and they're like, oh my gosh, how do you know he does that? How do you know she does this? And how do you know so fast? And that's what I put into that course. It's an amazing course. So make sure you go on to the Patreon. You'll see the link below, and you'll be able to access that course on a month-to-month basis because it's very powerful information, and I know it's going to take people some time to get through it all. So make sure you check it out. The price that it is at now, it will, not always be at that price. This is a very special course. So I'm keeping it at a lower price for you all, but just keep in mind, it's better to get access to it now because once the price goes up, it goes up. So aside from that, I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to hop on that course. Make sure to also join the Pyramidian program if you're interested, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.